Hi, good day, good morning. Kaloy Conde here again for another episode of Podcasting Kaloy. Uh, Today, I'm very happy to have as our guest the new executive director of the Presidential Task Force on Media Safety, Joe Torres. Now, just so you know, guys, he's a good friend of mine from way back when we were still struggling journalists. So, at one point we even I don't know what's the right word, contributed or co-wrote for a book that was edited by our friend John Nery, and we've had a we were friends for a long time. We spent some time working with the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, and I consider him to be a dear friend and a good press freedom advocate. So we're happy that he's been appointed by President Marcos as PTFoMS Executive Director. Joe, welcome.
Welcome then to our viewers. I would
Yes.
like to say listeners, but this is a video, a vlog. So welcome to our viewers and thank you very much for inviting me here, Kaloy. And really, I was surprised to be invited to this very napaka sikat na vlog.
Wala pa taon. The reason why I invited you, diba, sigmudagan akong followers. So, but no, you know, congratulations against appointment nimo. I mean, this came just a few weeks after you were after your stint at the Philippine Information Agency, which is of course the information arm of the government. How does it feel, Joe? I mean, to be in this position now as a journalist before, very critical, very aggressive, expose type journalist, and now you're in government, the Marcos government at that. How
Yes,
is this going for you?
actually, I was really surprised when the president announced last Thursday that I have been appointed as the head of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security. And although I heard that they will be appointing me to that position, but still, when he announced it before journalists during the uh, a top official meeting of the Kapisanan ng mga broadcasters sa Pilipinas, it was I was really surprised, and especially when he enumerated tasks that my office has to do in the coming days or coming months. So uh, I am quite nervous and I'm challenged to face this new chapter of my life. But I also am very thankful that as we get older, we'll be able to serve the industry that nurtured us for the past 40 years for me and siguro sa'yo, Kaloy, 50 years. No, we were together.
That's
So I was
libelous.
yeah, I was grateful to the president for giving me the opportunity to serve the industry where I grew up since my early 20s,
Well, that's good.
especially when it comes to working for press freedom and the rights of people to know and the safety and security of my fellow journalists.
Well, that's good to know, Joe. I hope you don't mind me still calling you Joe. I don't think I can ever
Yes,
call you
sure.
executive director or ASEC ba or
Yusek.
USEC. You know, as I said, we go way back, and I don't think I can easily discard all the fun memories we had together. But you know, the reason why I invited you is obviously about your new jobs, PT Forms, and this agency being in charge with media safety and security is quite crucial for a lot of journalists, our friends in the industry, because of the issues that we continue to face in media. Right? It's not even just safety. I mean, it's all of, obviously the killings and attacks on journalists is a very serious issue, but there are other related issues as well that I think in the long run, your task force would be in a position to address. But before we go into that, I have to ask you this, Joe, because in the past, and the reason why a lot of us in the civil society community, I mean, I used to be a journalist, but I've transitioned to human rights work for the past 12 years, but I've never considered myself retired or anything from journalism. But And one of the reasons why a lot of us in the journalism and in the civil society community are so wary about PTFoMS, and in fact, very, very critical of PTFoMS, was they view it as it was engaged in things such as red tagging that is so anathema to its mandate, or at least to the mandate what we envision it to be. Now, I know it wasn't your time, obviously, but you care to tell us, what's going to be so different about these PTFoMS in terms of that, and how do you repair that kind of, I would say, damage that some of your predecessors have created among the human rights and media community because of those actions. I mean, but before you answer, I have to point out this is not the whole PTFoMS thing. I mean, there were just specific instances that they did this, but obviously PTFoMS was doing something else, a lot of other things, right? So, but given the issues at the moment, red tagging or the suggestion of red tagging was really pretty disturbing, to say the least. So, yeah.
Definitely, there will be no red tagging, there will be no labeling under my leadership's Presidential Task Force on Media Security. The president was very clear to engage with all sectors of the media, and he even mentioned, and this has been open in previous statements of my predecessors and other agencies of government, that the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines has been quote unquote red tag in the past. But if you listen, if you watch the president's statement in last Thursday, he was very clear when he said that I ordered or I directed the PTFoMS to engage and to closely coordinate and work with the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas, the National Press Club of the Philippines, and the National Union of Journalists in the Philippines. So definitely under my leadership of the PTFoMS, I will be coordinating with all media sectors, and I will be talking with them and engaging with them and cooperating with them in all projects and activities for the welfare and security of journalists in the country. And the president was also very specific when he said that PTFoMS should focus on the local media who are very vulnerable because of the nature of their work, because of politics in the local politics, especially in the coming elections. The president said that local politics is very dangerous because of the political issues, and most of the time the media, the journalists are caught in between. So he directed the PTFoMS to work closely with the local media. And with these directives, I think I will spend more time consulting with media organizations, all media organizations, regarding the labeling and
Mhm.
allegations that were made in the past. I would be consulting with all media sectors, and I'm hoping to have a dialogue between the media and, for example, the National Task Force to End Local Communist Activities, or NTF-LCAT, and the security sector, so that there will be a clear, for all the issues that have been mentioned in the past to be cleared.
Well, that's well and good, and that's there's a lot of things to unpack there, Joe. But we'll get to some of those. But I'm happy to hear that, and I'm sure our friends and colleagues in the media industry would be thrilled as well. Now, okay, that's out of the way. Can you walk us through the mandate of the PTFoMS? I think it's important for us to to sort of reintroduce PTFoMS to the public and exactly what this animal is. Obviously this was created as a response to the killings of journalists because at many points, and I know this when we were in UJP, that the Philippines is considered for many years as one of the worst places in the world to become a journalist. So what does PTFoMS have in mind? What its mandate, and what's your priorities?
The PTFoMS was created in 2016 by former President Rodrigo Duterte, actually to respond to the clamor of the media to address those threats and killings in the past for so many years since 1986. So the president issued administrative order number one, the former president, creating the Presidential Task Force on Media Security, basically to address the issues that were raised by the media during the time for the for protection for protection of their lives, supposedly their liberty and security, and also to ensure press freedom in the country. I think those are very noble
Mm-hmm.
goals. The issue, however, was how to implement those ambitious statements. But and the challenge, of course, is to really listen to the media, to talk with them about their needs. It doesn't mean that I am not sure if I will be able to address all those issues because the PTFoMS is basically just a task force. It is co-chaired by the Department of Justice, basically for the agency to be able to monitor and to assist the cases against journalists filed in court. So we will be working closely because it's one of our mother agencies, the Department of Justice, when it comes to the prosecution or the exped to expedite the cases of filed against journalists, specifically when it comes to cases that are media related.
Okay.
And also because the other agency that co-chairs the PTFoMS is the Presidential Communications Office. So through the PCO, we will also be pushing for media and information literacy. We will be working with media partners to promote media and information literacy, because basically we also have to accept that uh, we have to really to also work for responsible media in the country
Mm-hmm.
for the ethical practice of journalism, because sometimes it's also one of the reasons why the media is put on the hot seat because of some unethical practices among in the media industry. So we will be working with the PCO to promote that specifically because the president also asked us to really work on media and information literacy, not only with the media, not only with journalists, but with the public. So through the media, we can reach out more to the public. So I think, yeah, that's the priority. My priority is to review the existing cases of journalists.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cases have already been filed. I want to be updated about the status of those cases
When you say
and
those cases, cases of
in
journalists
the
who were
past,
killed.
killed and the threats also, I think,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
because there were reports of threats also. And I hope that media organizations will help me out in this, to look into these cases and to bring to our attention the issues that the media is facing right now. And of course, we can do much. I think we really have to work closely with the Justice Department when it comes to these cases, because the PTFoMS has no prosecutory power. It has,
Mm-hmm.
it's just basically a coordinating task force
Mm-hmm.
for to ensure that the government will look into issues about the media security, press freedom, and media safety, of course, welfare.
Mm-hmm.
And then second, I will look into more projects, coordination with various media organizations, hopefully not only to be reactive when there are issues, but also to be more proactive when it comes to projects and for the welfare of our colleagues.
Now, um, let me ask you this, and I don't intend this question to to throw shade on your predecessors, but um, can you tell us exactly what the old Petitfons achieved in the years that they were in office in terms of realistic and practical efforts to advance to regarding the cases that were referred to it. I mean, because the reason I asked that is because obviously a task force can only be is only as good as the results that it presents to the public, right? So what has the old PTFoMS shown or achieved?
Um, I believe I really have to be, to be brief about what they have done. My reaction is actually because, first of all, I haven't yet taken my oath.
Ah, okay, okay.
It was only the president who said that I will be the executive
No,
director,
but
but
he
I,
can't take it back. He cannot take
yeah,
it
yeah.
back. So,
Anyway,
so yeah.
based on my observation and what I learned from the media and the reports that I've read, the previous leadership of the PTFoMS was actually able to coordinate with law enforcement agencies to expedite some cases, the prosecution of some cases involving media practitioners.
Okay.
I believe they were able to do something with some cases. I'm just not familiar yet what cases were these. There were also training programs conducted for law enforcement agencies for the police. Actually, I was not also privy to this, but there were reports that there were programs and activities, training activities for the security sector, for the police, especially on handling cases related with the media. They were even able to assign point persons in every province, I believe, who will
Mm-hmm.
among the police officers who will be in charge of looking into cases when it comes to media, when involving the media. They were also able to engage with some media organizations, especially in the provinces, to conduct consultations.
Okay.
I I attended some with the National Press Club of the Philippines, and I've seen reports, for example, from our regional offices of the Philippine Information Agencies that activities and projects, trainings were conducted in the provinces in partnership with some local government units, and there were also representations in some media activities in the international community and dialogues with some organizations.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I really am not yet
No, no, no.
privy
That's okay.
to
That's
all
fine.
those activities
I
that
did.
were.
I didn't want to put you in the hot seat, but I just had to ask that. But in terms of coordination and in terms of the role that PT Phones plays in in coordinating with the DOJ, the prosecutors, and the investigators. One of my pet peeves actually with all PT Phones is that there seems to be a deliberate kind of misrepresentation sometimes of what actually, I mean, the happened in some cases of killings, for instance. I remember, and I think I have commented in the press about this against one of your predecessors, saying that they consider a case solved when they've already identified the suspect. I mean, and then I'm not sure exactly whether technically officially PT Farms chalked up those cases as solved in its official declarations or records, but that sounded to me like questionable. And the reason why I ask that is because international agencies such as the UNESCO, for instance, they have this running monitoring of media safety, media killings in the Philippines, and they almost exclusively they deal with the government. My point is that if agencies such as UNESCO will get inaccurate figures or assessment from agencies such as the PTFoMS or the PCSO, then they will be given a skewed picture of what actually happened. So my question to you is, um, and I'm sounding Joe like I'm telling you what to do, okay? But I think I think you're getting I think you know where I'm getting at in terms of why is the PT phones doing this, being following the kind of logic and the kind of narrative of the police when it comes to specific cases. I mean, certainly you declare a case solved when I mean from my observation, you declare case solved when it's been convicted already or the mastermind has been arrested, right?
Yes, you know that I was always also critical about those terminologies way back as
Yeah.
we were together in our previous organization, and even when we were in the media, to label or to call cases that have been, for example, a suspect has been identified, and it's already supposedly case closed. But I think it's a matter of terminologies, semantics, because that's what the police used, no, the terminology. That I I want, I really want to clarify those things.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the police, when they identify suspects, they will say that the case is closed, but or solved, no,
Mm-hmm.
solved. But there should be clarification. There should be a definition of what closed or solved means. I agree with you that we really have to look into to these things, because we are not just here to make, to make the government para pabanguhin siya.
Mm-hmm.
We are here, I believe that the president selected me to lead the PTFoMS to come out with the truth, what to really protect media practitioners and to work, to be honest, what's really going on. We
Yeah.
can only talk about press freedom if there are no threats to, or there are no fears among media practitioners. So when it comes to terminologies, that's one of the first things that I want clarified.
Okay.
I really don't know why they would label a case solved
Well,
when the
yeah.
suspects are not yet, when the case is not yet closed, or there's no court decision yet. So I really have to review that.
Yeah.
Uh, I think, for lack of a better word, they were dependent on police investigators when it
Yes.
comes to looking into those cases. But we will be hiring lawyers also to do parallel to provide me with opinion that is not only, to be critical about
Yeah.
what the police reports or police investigations would come up, no, what the police would come up. I will also be working with the NBI, of course, because it's under the Department of Justice, to look into those kind of cases, and the terminologies that they're using. Because I also always hear that
Yeah.
case solved. Why is it solved when in fact
Well,
the case is not yet filed in court? But
yeah.
I think it's a matter of semantics.
Yeah. 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 I
But
get it. And
I know that it's a matter of semantics, but I believe we should not highlight
yeah.
those
Yeah.
terminologies.
But I'm glad to hear that, Joe, that is something that concerns you as well. And also, now let's go to what you said and what Mr. Marcos said about community media. And the reason why I'm so excited about your appointment is because mga probi tayo eh. We're, we're from the province.
Yeah.
We work in the community media. We were not always Manila based before. I mean, I used to be. So we know kind of the context, the environment that community journalists work in, and that really made me, when Mr. Marcos said uh, for the PTFoMS to look at the situation of community media, particularly during the elections, and that really made me sit up, because that's a key kind of piece of the puzzle in the attacks against media. I mean, look, majority of those who are targeted for violence are from the provinces, and a majority of them work in the broadcast industry. And increasingly, we've been seeing uh, uh, attacks on media, or even podcasters or Facebook, users using the platform to do what they used to do on TV, excuse me, on radio, such as commentary, and they're also facing harassment and even threats. And really, it looked to me like, for instance, in the province, I mean, the last case, halimbawa, yung kay Humalon, and the gunman walked into the studio and then shot him there. This was, I think, in the Visayas. Uh, so, in other words, community journalists, those in the provinces, and I'm not saying Manila journalists are not, are not vulnerable as well. But the fact is, most journalists in the provinces are more vulnerable. And I can imagine that it is, it is a gargantuan task to try to, monitor all of these journalists, particularly the ones who are hard hitting and are thus more likely to be targeted. But is there something in, in the Marcos administration that sort of takes this into account and, find a way to address this vulnerability?
That's really a difficult question to answer. First of all, I really have to put that in context.
Mm-hmm.
And a few months ago, I went to a province, to a region where I had a dialogue with the local media as part of my previous work with the Philippine Information Agency. So I went around, talked with the local media, consult with them, what are their concerns, and a lot of them uh, brought up the issue of economics.
Mm-hmm.
They have radio stations that are facing difficulties, financial difficulties. So they said, can the government support our the radio stations, for example, by giving donations or by
Mm.
uh, placing ads, you know, including in the budget of the government ad placements for private media. So I said, we cannot just do that. If you want
Okay.
to go into media, then we all know that media is a business. You go there and it's a business. Do your business, but please don't ask the government to, because if once the government would start, funding your private, what would that be? So I said, no, it cannot happen. Second, so they said that, so we really have no choice. We have to go to the politicians.
Okay.
And the politicians are just very happy to support local media, radio stations, publications, or individual journalists so that they can continue to broadcast. But it also, they cannot just work for both, for example, opposing politicians, so they have to choose one, and
Mm-hmm.
that makes them vulnerable, especially when they start attacking the political enemies of the other politician. And I
Yes.
think that is really the context, one of the very dangerous things that I think the president also had in mind when he said that we have to really work closely with the local media because of the very, the community, the small community where everyone knows, everyone, and the media is very much vulnerable. So what this has been, this issue has been going on in the past for so many years.
Yeah.
We don't want to blame the media for this lack of economic or financial, it's a business, but at the same time, I think all the media organizations and even the government would really emphasize on training, workshops to be fair, maybe not balanced, but to be fair in our journalism, to be ethical. I don't know if everyone understands that,
But
that's one of the vulnerabilities.
the
Uh,
flip side to that, Joy, if I may, is that okay? The media is forced by its own circumstance, or journalists are forced
yes,
by their own circumstance to, cut corners and
yes,
probably go into some questionable practices with their sources, with government people, with politicians. But the flip
yes,
side to that is that obviously the politicians need to answer for that as well. So
correct.
with the directive from the president, and given that, realization, does it make better sense to now go to the politicians to stop, the practice, or, find a way for them to not be so, for instance, so onion skinned, or if if they are attacked by their political opponent, I'm sure they can find a way to,
To attack
to
back
air, to attack back.
using
Yeah,
words.
exactly.
Yeah,
To attack back, or air their own grievances and not use violence. And I don't know, really how to do that. I mean, given that it is a democracy and anybody can just buy a frequency and uh, uh, put up a radio station, I'm sure they can do that. But the sad thing is that they turn to violence because that seems to be the easier way. But more importantly, a lot of these politicians have not been punished for all their deeds. So that's the challenge now, I think, for you, the DOJ, and the prosecutor. So how do you? Okay, fine. We train the police, which is important, and
Yes.
how to respect media and how to see how they work and how to respect that. It's also important for the media to train and educate the media about the limits of what they can do in terms of doing their jobs. I mean, not limits in the way expression, but limits in like questions about ethics, questions about propriety that make them vulnerable, right? But also now, another question, of course, are the politicians. What do we do
Yes.
with the politicians?
I really agree with that. One of those the things that came to mind when I heard the president talking about local politics and the local media was to work together with the Commission on Elections because they have the platform and to engage politicians, those running. Hopefully, we can do it all over the country to go around
Mm-hmm.
to have a dialogue with the media and the politicians, those running, to for them to come together with the media and hopefully with the Commission on Elections and to have a leveling up and to be clear about issues and the politicians concerned also about the media so that they can air their side also and to, to emphasize also the role of the media when it comes to informing the public, especially during the elections. I hope that we will be able to do that. And basically, this has been going on for more than a year already. I have to mention the media and information literacy
Mm-hmm.
of the president. It does not only it is not only aimed at the media or the public, but actually, my suggestion, and this has been implemented already slowly, is first to conduct media and information literacy training to all government leaders, politicians, local government executives, so that they will understand what the media is talking about and what is information, the role of information in society. I just hope that our politicians will understand that, but we will be doing our best to conduct all these consultations and dialogues with politicians. I will try to identify provinces or regions that you know that has a historical uh, issue about attacks on journalists, especially a lot in Mindanao and also in the Visayas.
Yeah. Um, Joe, I don't want to keep you long, but kind of a final phase of this conversation, I would like you to ask is that the media landscape is changing, as you know. Where before tayo-tayo lang ang nandyan and pili lang yung mga nagbo-broadcast, nagmi-media. But now with the advent of the internet and social media, anybody can just pick up a camera and start being a citizen journalist and things like that. That is well and good. How technology democratized media consumption and media production of you know media materials. But that carries with it the additional problem of now we're seeing even online, not necessarily purely journalists, but also people who have the capacity or the willingness to broadcast or to put online whatever they find. I mean, vloggers, influencers, and all of that. And many of them are also facing risks now as a result of that. Now, I don't think anybody should have a what is this, sometimes an elitist kind of distinction between, okay, a writer from big newspaper is much should be much more respectable than a vlogger or somebody who posts news on Facebook, right? Because the key issue here is freedom of expression, that people have the right to express whatever they want and they should not be harmed for doing that. Now, that obviously poses a challenge to you because your mandate is media safety, media security, I realize this is an unfair question to ask you, because given that you haven't even taken your oath yet, but given given the fact that you are a veteran journalist, you know how it works, and you know the issues surrounding safety, press freedom. What do you think should be considered here?
When a lot of people would come up with, you know, try about, to constrict that's, to limit. Some people would suggest that there will be regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have, when it comes to radio, we have the KBP. They have their it's a self-regulating body.
Mm-hmm.
We have the National Telecommunications Commission. When it comes to print, we have the PPI and all the other organizations. When it comes to to these new media practitioners, there are attempts to have self-regulating bodies like the kapisanan ng mga social media something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's really, it's quite difficult, but ever since we have to define what journalism is all about,
Okay.
what media is all about, we said that we can only talk about reporting, especially when it comes to reporting, no, as facts, as news, stories that are vetted. But
Mm-hmm.
opinion, so that's out of the way. But opinion, for example, your opinions when it comes to some issues like politics that are broadcast by online by individuals who are not connected with any media organization or media entity is, I believe, covered by the by press freedom, the right
Mm-hmm.
of people to express themselves. But at the same time, they're also covered by, there we have a lot of laws, and unfortunately sometimes we have laws that constrict press freedom,
Cyber
and
libel, for instance. Yeah.
we have to review that. But people who feel that they have been attacked by this online media have these laws. For example, cyber libel or whatever. We
Okay.
have
Yeah.
those array of laws that we really have also to look into and review. And there is no reason for the offended party to just attack and kill journalists because of their opinion. I think it's really important for everyone to be educated in this, for people like you to help us in this, because I really am not sure if the task force will be able to cover all this very wide array of issues and challenges that the media is facing in the country. But we can take it step by step, one issue at a time,
Yeah.
maybe many issues at a time, simultaneously. For instance, we will be reviewing the cases, we will be conducting workshops and dialogues, and then go down to the communities to work and to dialogue with local politicians, the media, and all the stakeholders when it comes to promoting press freedom in the country.
Well, far be it from me, Joe, to tell you how to do your job. I feel like after all our what is drinking sprees before, I can tell you, uh,
Yes.
I think from my perspective as a human rights advocate now, ending impunity is a really, really uh, uh, top should be a top priority. I mean, that we all agree that uh, people who get away with murder, I mean, be it journalists or
Yes.
activists, that's the reason why there are murders that are going to be committed because of that impunity, right? And I know I wouldn't like to see use it. I wouldn't like to describe you as just a task force, but I think I think your office carries a lot of weight in terms of doing that. The fact that you have the ear of the Department of Justice and, of course, the president, I think that's important. You know, ending impunity for journalists, for activists, for anybody actually who are victims of human rights abuses should be the paramount I think mandate of the administration. And I'm just so thrilled and happy that you guys are there. And so let's we you know we wish you all the best in this new job. And really, I think the media community, and you know this, our friends in the media community, I'm sure they will be more than happy to work with you on ending this impunity and to make sure that journalists are able to do their jobs without fear. Because that's, I mean, and of course you know this. That's just one of the worst thing that you feel when you're a journalist, right? So, I, you know, maybe you can tell us your parting words about what this new job means for you to you, and you know, I give you I give you my all my best wishes on this one. But
Thank you
yeah,
very much. And I hope that you will continue to call my attention if ever there will be lapses, if ever there are issues that you want to be addressed, not only you, but all our friends in the media and the human rights community. Please don't hesitate to call our attention. You are always welcome. Your voice, your contribution to the task of pushing or working for press freedom and ending impunity in the country under this administration that thankfully welcomed us to work on this very challenging issue that is being faced by journalists, by the media community in the country. So thank you very much. I hope that you will pray for me and support
of course.
my tasks ahead. Thank you.
Hindi lang pray, Joe. We will toast for you if I see our friends.
Yes, thank you.
And I think you know, I think as I said, you're cut out for this. So we wish you all the best. We pray for you, and you know, we hope that the media community in the Philippines would operate with far less concerns about their safety. So maraming salamat, bye, and I hope to see you again one of these days with beer in hand.
Yeah. Daghang salamat.
Daghang salamat. Padayon!